Chapter 5:11. Lu Yu knew Chong Xian. Ever since he was a child, Chong Xian was the only one who had defeated Lu Yu once out of all the first prize winners. Lu Yu knew that the girl usually looked obedient and cute, but once she was in the examination room or in a competition, her lively eyes would become incomparably sharp, and her cute and harmless face would become very confident. However, today was the first time he saw her sharp-tongued. The little girl pulled her boyfriend behind her and mocked the people on her side without fear. She was like a little bird protecting its food. She was very cute. Somehow, he felt that she looked different from the one he had seen before. Lu Yu seemed to have thought of something, and he suddenly curled his lips into a smile. "I say, Genius Lu, which beauty are you thinking of? Your smile is so..." Zhang Yun really couldn't think of any adjectives, but this didn't stop him from finding it novel. Everyone in No. 1 middle school knew that the genius Lu Yu was cold and arrogant. Other than his roommates, he didn't have many good friends. Therefore, the basketball team asked Zhang Yun, who was in the same dorm as Lu Yu, for help. It wasn't that Zhang Yun had never seen Lu Yu smile before. However, most of the time, Lu Yu's lips would curl slightly when he smiled. His smile was very reserved. In his own words, Lu Yu revealed a strong sense of pretentiousness even when he smiled. Therefore, when he saw Lu Yu smiling so interestedly, it was as if he had thought of something that interested him very much. He was very surprised. Unfortunately, when Lu Yu heard his words, he immediately stopped smiling and looked at him indifferently. "You're thinking too much." He retracted his thoughts and recalled the scene that had just happened. Although it was the people from No. 1 middle school who provoked him first, Lu Yu felt that he was right about one thing. Huang On Yuan was indeed not a man to hide at the back and let a girl come forward when he encountered a problem. If it were him, he definitely wouldn't let his girlfriend be criticized at all. Lu Yu realized that his thoughts had wandered off again. He collected his thoughts and shook his head. On the other side, Huang On Yuan brought Gu Shengyin to eat at another place. "You know Lu Yu?" Huang On Yuan suddenly asked. Gu Shengyin shook her head honestly. Chong Xian and Lu Yu had never crossed paths before. However, there would be more in the future. Gu Shengyin snickered in her heart when she recalled the last glance he gave her. "That's strange. I just felt that he was helping us out. I've only heard of his reputation." Huang On Yuan was a little puzzled. Gu Shengyin said casually, "Maybe the other party doesn't want to cause any trouble. After all, if they really do, they will be in the wrong." Huang On Yuan nodded. "That's true." The two of them went home after dinner. Huang On Yuan sent Gu Shengyin downstairs. What made Gu Shengyin speechless was that when he left, he actually leaned over and wanted to kiss her. Gu Shengyin knew that this little intimacy between couples was nothing, but she was not Chong Xian. Other than her lover, she could not tolerate any other man touching her. She pretended to be very shy and blushed as she pushed Huang On Yuan away. She ran back to her room under his gloomy and amused gaze. At night, lying in her room, Gu Shengyin began to think of Lu Yu. It seemed that her lover this time was another cold and abstinent Prince Charming. Chapter 5:12. She got up in the morning, washed up, and tidied up everything. Gu Shengyin looked at herself in the mirror. Her long black hair was tied into a neat ponytail, no makeup, and no makeup. Chong Xian's eyes were very big and there were two little dimples when she smiled. Her facial features were very delicate, but there was still a bit of baby fat on her face. Moreover, she looked too young. She wasn't that short, but she didn't know why, when others looked at her, they felt that she didn't look like a 15-year-old girl. People would even believe it if she said she was 13. Gu Shengyin also secretly ridiculed Huang and Yuan. Chong Xian looked so young, but he was actually moved. But from a man's point of view, she could understand why Huang and Yuan liked Qing Luo Chen. After all, Chong Xian was too young. Even if he wanted to kiss her, when he met those ignorant big eyes, it would make people feel like they were leading this ignorant little girl astray. Qing Luo Chen was different. She was beautiful, had a good figure, and knew how to dress herself. This kind of girl, in high school, was simply the goddess of all the boys' hearts. How much affection could a high school boy really have? Being liked by this kind of beauty, it was normal for him to fall in love with someone else. But understanding was understanding, not forgiving was not forgiving. Xian, come and eat breakfast. She opened the door and Mother Chong just came out of the kitchen. She was holding a plate of fried eggs as she smiled at her. Steaming milk and homemade bread were already placed on the table. Chong Xian's family was a very traditional family. Father Chong worked outside to earn money for the family and Mother Chong was responsible for keeping the house tidy. Other than that, she was responsible for taking care of the big and small family. Gu Xingyin's heart warmed. High school required self-study, so Chong Xian had to wake up before 6 every day. And Mother Chong had to make breakfast for her before she went to school, so she had to wake up earlier than her every day. After all these years, even on weekends, Mother Chong had never slept in. She couldn't help saying, "I already said, Mom, I'll just eat outside in the morning, you don't have to wake up this early to make breakfast for me. It's still okay now, but winter is so cold." Mrs. Chong took a piece of bread and handed it to her. She smiled and said, "My child, I don't have anything to do. I'm already used to waking up at this time, so I don't feel tired. Besides, how could the food outside be nutritious and unhygienic? Hurry up and eat before it's too late again." Gu Xingyin had no choice but to nod. Chong Xian had parents who loved her very much. Unfortunately, in the original plot, after their daughter's death, the two elders refused to accept the truth and appealed through various channels. Not only did Mr. Chong lose his job, but his family's savings were also depleted. The two of them spent the rest of their lives in desolation. Don't worry. In this life, with me, Gu Xingyin, around, Chong Xian will always be fine. You will also have a peaceful and happy old age. Huang On was waiting for Chong Xian downstairs. The parents of both families were already used to this. These two children had been going to school hand in hand since kindergarten. In the blink of an eye, it had been more than 10 years. "I heard that next week, you're going to participate in a competition?" Huang On asked. Gu Xingyin nodded. She was going to represent the school to participate in a physics competition in the capital. In the original plot, it was in this half a month that Huang On met Qing Luochen. Chapter 513. When they reached the school gate, Gu Xingyin suddenly stopped and said to Huang and Yuan very seriously, "And Yuan Gij, this time I'm going to the capital. If I can make it all the way to the finals, it will take about half a month. You must think of me every day. You're not allowed to like other girls." Huang and Yuan laughed. This wasn't the first time Chong Xian had been separated from him for a few days. She had never said such words before. According to what she meant, she had full confidence in their relationship. Why did she suddenly feel a sense of crisis this time? But he still enjoyed the feeling of being remembered and relied on by his girlfriend. He reached out and rubbed Gu Xingyin's head and said with a smile, "Got it, don't worry, little vinegar jar." Gu Xingyin smiled and didn't say anything. The only thing she could do was to remind him as much as possible. Although according to the usual plot, Huang and Yuan would most likely still meet Qing Luochen and begin to develop an unusual relationship. The days of high school were tense and dull. Soon, it was the day Gu Xingyin went to the capital. Lin City 3rd High School didn't only send Chong Xian as a representative this time, there were 3 other people, a second-year senior and 2 third-year seniors. Chong Xian was the only first-year senior and was the youngest, but also the most hopeful of the 4. She was small, well-behaved and cute, so she was taken care of by the other 3. But when she got on the bus prepared by the school, Gu Xingyin unexpectedly saw Lu Yu. Sitting with him were a few other first high school students. They should be the students from Lin City First High School this time. It turned out that the 2 schools were from the same city, and after arriving in the capital, they were considered to be a small group. The principals of the 2 schools discussed and decided that it would be better to simply put these students together and cultivate their feelings in advance. But in fact, the students of the 2 schools were very unfamiliar with each other. They sat on both sides of the bus and only communicated with their schoolmates. The teachers of both sides were helpless. They couldn't force the students to make friends, right? Gu Shengyin held her cup and sat by the window drinking water. Little did she know that her actions had attracted the attention of almost everyone in the car. The adorable little girl was holding a hamster cup and drinking slowly. It was like a big hamster hugging a small hamster. How could there be such a cute girl? A student from Linqing First High School burst into laughter. Gu Shengyin looked over in confusion, only to find that most of the people in the bus were looking at her. She blinked in confusion and reached out a hand to touch her face. There was nothing wrong. What were they looking at? Her reaction caused many people to smile again. Even Lu Yu had a faint smile on his face. He didn't notice that Gu Shengyin seemed to have seen something incredible. She stared at him and said, "You can actually laugh." After she finished speaking, she realized what she had just said. Her face suddenly turned red, and she held the cup to cover her face, pretending that she was looking at the scenery. Pfft, ha 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 ha. This time, even the teacher leading the team laughed. The awkward atmosphere in the bus disappeared in an instant. A student from Linqing First High School even teased, "Looks like our genius Lu is still the best. He even got a spot in third high school." Chapter 5:14. For the rest of the journey, the atmosphere in the car was very good. However, Gu Shengyin helplessly realized that everyone seemed to like teasing her. Come on, Chong Xian just looked very silly and cute. She was not really silly. Gu Shengyin, who looked innocent on the outside but was cunning on the inside, sneered in her heart. After making a few people who made fun of her suffer in secret, those people finally restrained themselves a little. However, during the meal, a drumstick was served to her. "Xian Xian, come and eat more. Looking at you, I know that you don't eat enough." On the other side, a bowl of soup was served as well, and he added, "That's right, Xian Xian, eat more." A few minutes later, Gu Shengyin looked at the small mountain of soup in the small bowl and wanted to cry. She was being raised like a little pig. When she got out of the car, "Come, I'll carry it for you." The luggage bag in her hand was snatched away by a senior. "That's right, how can you let a girl carry your luggage?" The school bag on her back was also taken off. The senior who was carrying her own school bag smiled at this scene, and did not feel that she was being treated unfairly at all. "That's right, such a young child, it's only right to pamper her a little." The senior thought to herself with relief. "Senior sister, have you forgotten how you exploited your younger brother who just entered the third grade at home?" Although Gu Shengyin felt that they were a little too enthusiastic, she did not feel disgusted. This was because she could feel that these people's kindness to her was genuine. But why? Gu Shengyin was puzzled. She did not do anything special. The system gave the answer, "It mainly depends on the face and temperament." Gu Shengyin, the system continued. To be more specific, Chong Xian has always been the kind of person who is small and delicate and can easily arouse the maternal instincts of others. It's just that in the original plot, she put all her attention on Huang On Yuan and never cared about anyone else. Naturally, other people can feel her feelings, and of course, they will not be cold to her. But after the change of host, although you tried your best to pretend to be Chong Xian, you didn't have any feelings for Huang On Yuan. Of course, the feeling you gave others would be different. In this way, Chong Xian's advantage will be fully displayed. Gu Shengyin thought about it carefully. Indeed, in the original plot, although Chong Xian's popularity wasn't bad, it wasn't very good either. She didn't even have a close friend in school. It was very normal. She had only chatted with him for a few sentences, and she would say, "Brother Anyuan." Who could stand it? So much so that after Chong Xian's incident, although everyone would scold Huang On Yuan for being a scumbag and a hooligan, no one went to Chong Xian's side at that time to comfort her. After Gu Shengyin came to this world, although the people around her didn't realize that Chong Xian's soul had changed, they could sense her change and were naturally willing to get close to her. The school had already arranged hotel accommodations for the students who came to participate in the competition. Gu Shengyin and a senior from the school stayed in the same room. Gu Shengyin came out of the shower and saw the senior reading a book. "Senior, you're so hard-working," Gu Shengyin exclaimed. The senior looked at her helplessly. "Believe it or not, if you casually knock on their room right now, I guarantee that they're all reading." She was just saying it casually, but she didn't expect this junior to believe it. She put on her pajamas and ran out of the room. The senior. Her heart was suddenly filled with endless worry. What would happen to such an innocent junior sister if no one protected her in the future? Chapter 5:15. Gu Shengyin knocked on the doors of a few rooms one by one. Just as the senior had expected, they were all reading books. After knowing the purpose of her visit, the few of them were like the senior. They didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but at the same time, they were worried for this one-track-minded junior. The last room belonged to Lu Yu. Lu Yu opened the door and was a little surprised to see Gu Shengyin outside the door. In a flash, Gu Shengyin entered the door. Sure enough, Lu Yu's roommate was reading a thick physics book in front of the desk. Lu Yu looked at her and looked around the entire room. Then, as if she had discovered a new continent, she said excitedly, "Genius Lu, you're not reading." Lu Yu didn't know what she was thinking. He raised his eyebrows and said, "Why should I read?" Gu Shengyin said proudly, "Senior said that if I knocked on the doors of every room, you would all be reading books. I don't need to believe it. Sure enough, you're not reading." Lu Yu knew what was going on. Only the little girl in front of him would take such words seriously. At this time, Lu Yu's roommate said, "You can't compare Lu Yu to a group of ordinary people like us. I've participated in so many competitions with him. Every time, I would stay up late to study. This guy has never brought a book." What was even more heart-wrenching was the fact that this guy, who never brought a book, would completely defeat them, who had studied hard, and win first place every time. Sigh, this guy felt that his life was full of tears just thinking about it. Gu Shengyin stuck out her tongue and was about to leave when Lu Yu suddenly stopped her. Lu Yu looked her up and down and said, "Girls, it's better not to walk around in pajamas in the future. It's not safe." After saying that, he turned his face and walked to the side. Gu Shengyin lowered her head and looked at her outfit. It was autumn now. She was wearing long-sleeved cotton pajamas. Was there anything wrong with it? No, as an obedient and cute little girl, she still smiled and nodded at Lu Yu before leaving. After Gu Shengyin left, Lu Yu's roommate looked at him with an expression of, "I've discovered a big secret." "Oh my, our top student Lu Yu has always been a flower on the top of the mountain. Why is he suddenly concerned about others?" Lu Yu didn't even bother to look at him. "She's so innocent. Isn't it normal for others to care about her?" After thinking for a while, he added, "She has a boyfriend. Don't think too much about it. It'll affect her reputation." However, she didn't know if he was talking to his roommate or himself. "Senior." Gu Shengyin pushed open the door. The senior looked at her happy face and asked directly, "Let me guess. Is there someone who didn't read the book?" Gu Shengyin nodded. The senior thought to herself that she was right and continued, "That person must be Brainiac Lu." Gu Shengyin widened her eyes. "How did you know?" The senior said helplessly, "Brainiac Lu never brings books with him when he goes out." Who doesn't know? She was just saying it casually. Who knew that Gu Shengyin would take it seriously? Gu Shengyin sat down with a smile. "I didn't bring books either." The senior pretended to be angry and said, "I know. Brainiac Lu is a pervert. Now, there's another little pervert." The few of them could represent the school to participate in the national competition. They were all top students in the school and were the top students in the eyes of others. However, there were some people who were born to bring down others. Chapter 5:16. The situation of the competition was similar to what they had expected. After rounds of competition, the first and second place were unsurprisingly decided between Gu Shengyin and Lu Yu. According to the original plot, Chong Xian had lost. Gu Shengyin did not intend to fight for such an undeserved reputation. In the end, her score was slightly lower than Lu Yu's and she had to settle for second place. "Xian Xian, are you okay?" "Xian Xian, don't be sad. You're still smiling. Lu Yu is 1 year higher than you. Next time, you definitely won't lose. Let's go. Teacher will bring you to a feast." The contestants from other places looked curiously at Lin Cheng's side. The other contestants were congratulating the winner, but on their side, everyone was comforting the girl who had won second place. They were not afraid that the winner would feel uncomfortable. The students who wanted to watch the show all looked at Lu Yu and found that he was indeed frowning and walking towards Gu Shengyin, who was surrounded by the crowd. There was a good show to watch. The onlookers expressed that their gossipy hearts were burning. Seeing Lu Yu walk to Gu Shengyin's side, his expression was still a little cold. Then he said, "With your level, you shouldn't have made a mistake in the last experiment. Be more careful. This first place should have been yours," he said with a little displeasure. "What?" The onlookers were dumbfounded. What happened to the catfight? This script was not right. Gu Shengyin thought to herself that she had made a mistake on purpose. Of course, she could not say that out loud. She could only laugh awkwardly and stick out her tongue. "I know. I'll be more careful next time." What a cute girl. The onlookers saw her actions and thought in their hearts. No, wasn't the focus of attention that they were clearly competitors, but why were they so harmonious with each other? They were clearly not from the same school. The other students from the two schools looked at the expressions of the people around them and knew what they were thinking. Suddenly, a mysterious sense of superiority rose in their hearts. "I know what others don't know." "Humph. How can you understand the unity and friendship between our Lin City schools?" This time, the results of the two schools in Lin City were pretty good. Since the school would pay for all the expenses, the two leading teachers discussed and decided to delay their return for a day. In the evening, they took the students out for a big meal. After dinner, the students even asked them to open a KTV box. Gu Shengyin sat in the corner, absent-mindedly listening to a boy wailing and howling. The system had just reminded her that after half a month, Huang and Yuan and Qing Luo Chen really began to have good feelings for each other. Gu Shengyin was mentally prepared for this, so she wasn't surprised. She was just thinking about how to face Huang On Yuan and deal with this matter when she returned to school. "Xian, don't just sit there. Come, senior sister has ordered a song for you." Unexpectedly, a microphone was stuffed into her hand. Gu Shengyin didn't understand and took it. A familiar childhood memory rang in her ears. On the other side of the mountain, on the other side of the sea, there was a group of Smurfs. Gu Shengyin, "Senior sister, you can do it." She tried to act cute and ask the others for help, but everyone including the leading teacher looked at her with a smile. Gu Shengyin, a group of people watching the fun, I'll endure it. She endured the shame and finished singing the song. Senior sister didn't let her go and shook the phone. Junior sister's soft cute children's collector's edition, I saved it. Ha 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 ha. The laughter of the group filled the box. Chapter 517. Gu Shengyin happily returned to school. She knew that there was still a good show waiting for her. On this day, Huang and Yuan waited for her to go to school as usual. There was no difference between the two of them. Until Gu Shengyin went to her class. The classes in the third high school were arranged according to the students' grades. The first, second, and third classes were the legendary important classes and the others were the normal classes. Chongxian was of course the important class of the important classes, a student from the first class. And Huang and Yuan was in the normal class. Gu Shengyin sat in her seat for the morning self-study. There was never a teacher in class 1's morning self-study and the school never worried that the students would waste time. Gu Shengyin hadn't sat down for long when the deskmate beside her patted her shoulder. Gu Shengyin turned her head. Her deskmate was a girl with glasses. She looked very quiet and her name was Li Manman. "Xian, I have something to tell you." Li Manman looked a bit conflicted. Gu Shengyin's heart skipped a beat, but her face showed a trace of curiosity. Li Manman hesitated for a bit before asking, "Do you know who Qing Luo Chen is?" "The second-year student in our school. The very beautiful girl." Gu Shengyin nodded. "I've heard of her." Even if Chongxian hadn't seen Qing Luo Chen, she definitely wouldn't be unfamiliar with this name. Li Manman's expression became even more conflicted. She lowered her voice and said, I have something to tell you, don't be angry when you hear it. Right now the school is abuzz with rumors, saying that Qing Luo Chen and... She paused for a bit before continuing, are very close to your families Huang and Yuan. Li Manman's words were light. The two of them could clearly be described as intimate. Huang and Yuan and Chong Xian, in the eyes of all the students, were a pair with a good relationship. Qing Luo Chen coming in now would easily cause others to dislike her. After Li Manman finished, she looked at Gu Shengyin with some worry. She knew how much Xian Xian liked Huang and Yuan and was afraid that she would be sad. Gu Shengyin's reaction was out of her expectations. Her face was still calm as she smiled and said, they might just be normal classmates. I'll personally ask Big Brother and Yuan after school. Li Manman's hands were already wrinkling the corner of her shirt. It was clear that her heart wasn't as calm as she looked. She sighed in her heart and didn't say anything. She could only hope that it was like what Xian said. After school, Huang and Yuan and Xian Xian didn't Xian. Brother An Yuan, can I ask you something? Gu Shengyin's expression was not as happy as usual. Huang An Yuan's heart skipped a beat, but he still smiled and said, what is it? Tell me. Gu Shengyin stopped and turned to look at him. I heard that you and our school's Qing Luo Chen have been getting closer recently. When she said this, her eyes were fixed on Huang An Yuan. Huang An Yuan was not used to it. His Xian Xian had always looked at him with longing and dependence, calling him Big Brother An Yuan softly. When had she ever looked at him so seriously? He subconsciously denied it. Don't listen to other people's nonsense. Luo Chen wants to join the school's cheerleading team. If there's anything, please call me. That's why we got closer. Gu Shengyin said lightly. Oh? Is that so? Chapter 5:18. She looked at Huang and Yuan. Big Brother and Yuan is only one of the basketball team members. She didn't ask about anyone else and only asked about you. There are so many cheerleaders on the basketball team, but Big Brother and Yuan isn't close to any of them. You're only close to Qing Luo Chen. There are so many students in the school, but no one else has a scandal, only the two of you. She gave a short laugh. Big Brother and Yuan, do you think I'm stupid? Huang and Yuan was a bit angry from her words as he said, Xian, you weren't like this before. Why are you like those girls now, being so calculative? Look, his thoughts were seen through and he was blaming her. Gu Shengyin retorted without any trace of politeness. What does Big Brother and Yuan want me to be like? Forever locking myself in the ivory tower, not caring about the outside world, pretending not to know about the rumors about my boyfriend, lying to myself that you'll always be true to me? Huang and Yuan had never seen such an eloquent Chong Xian. He was at a loss for words. Seeing that he couldn't even give a proper explanation, Gu Shengyin gave a cold snort. She took her bag back from his hands and went home on her own. On the other side of the road, Lu Yu looked at the two with a frown. Chong Xian seemed to have a conflict with her boyfriend? He looked again and Chong Xian had already left with her bag without looking back. Lu Yu put this matter in his heart and walked away. The next morning, Gu Shengyin finished Mother Chang's love breakfast as usual and went out. Huang and Yuan was waiting for her at the entrance of the community early in the morning. Gu Shengyin looked at him and prepared to go around him. Huang and Yuan came over with a smile and said with a smile, Xian, don't be angry, there's really nothing between me and Qing Luo Chen. We've been together for so many years, do you still not believe it? Gu Shengyin gave a cold snort, but her tone was much more relaxed. Then explain to me, where did the rumors about you two come from? Huang An Yuan naturally said a lot of good things, and her anger finally subsided a little. Gu Shengyin also knew that this was just some gossip. Huang and Yuan and Qing Luo Chen didn't really do anything. With Chong Xian's character, it was impossible for her to break up with Huang An Yuan so easily. She had asked the system to keep an eye on the two of them at all times. As long as the two of them secretly met, she would be the first to know. When the time came, she would give them a big gift. Huang An Yuan was a little depressed recently. Xian, who had always liked to stick to him, threw a tantrum after hearing the rumors about him and Luo Chen. He managed to coax her with great difficulty, but she still treated him indifferently and was no longer as considerate as before. Even his buddies from the basketball team said to him meaningfully, "And Yuan, what about this girl? You have to take a good look at what is truly suitable for you. I've seen my sister-in-law pour her heart and soul out to you all these years. Don't go down the wrong path." Xian was small, so they all jokingly called her sister-in-law. Occasionally, he would even hear his classmates talking about him, saying that he was too timing and was a scumbag. It was simply too distracting. He couldn't help but blame Gu Shangyin. If she was willing to continue being sweet with him like before and the person involved didn't care, the rumors would naturally fall apart. Xian was becoming less and less considerate. Chapter 519. At this time, Huang and Yuan received a call from Qing Luo Chen. He hesitated a bit, but still picked it up. Gu Shangyin quickly received the news that the two of them were together again. She sneered in her heart, as the saying goes, a dog can't change its spots. If she believed that Huang and Yuan could keep it, she might as well buy a lottery ticket and win the first prize. Third high school was only this big and Huang and Yuan and Qing Luo Chen were both in school, so it was inevitable that they would be exposed. The rumors in the school spread even more and even Gu Shangyin heard a few things. "Aya Xian, why are you still so calm?" Li Man was worried for her. Gu Shangyin just smiled and shook her head. Li Man thought that she still had expectations for Huang and Yuan and couldn't help shaking her head in her heart. Xian is too naive. At the same time, her heart was filled with disgust towards Huang and Yuan and Qing Luo Chen who came between the two of them. One was a scum who ate from the bowl and looked at the pot, the other was a slut who knew that he had a girlfriend and still stuck to him. It seemed like the two of them were a good match. Under Gu Shangyin's connivance, there were more than one or two people who had the same thoughts as Li Man. Before Huang and Yuan and Qing Luo Chen realized it, their reputation in Lin City's third high school had already been ruined. After class, Gu Shangyin heard someone say that someone was looking for her and she went out to see an unexpected person. "Big sister Shirley?" Gu Shirley looked at her. "Have you heard about your boyfriend Huang and Yuan's troublesome matters? That daring fellow actually dared to play with the people Gu Shirley is protecting. Xian, say something. Do you want big sister Shirley to help you beat him up? As long as you say something, I can make it so that he can't come to school for half a month." Gu Shangyin. Very good. This girl was a bit savage. But on the surface, she just bit her lips and said awkwardly, "I don't believe that Big Brother in Yuan is this kind of person. He personally told me that there was nothing between him and Qing Luo Chen." Gu Shirley was so angry that he wanted to laugh. If there was really nothing going on, why would the rumors be so fierce? Everyone knew that the two of them were together. Only an innocent girl like Chong Xian still foolishly believed in her big brother An Yuan. She didn't say much. "All right, since you believe him, I won't say anything. If you figure it out one day, remember to look for me. I've disliked that guy for a long time." Gu Shangyin looked at her helplessly. "Big sister, when you domineeringly threw out the words of wanting to beat someone up, could you consider that the person standing opposite you was his girlfriend?" When Gu Shangyin returned to her seat, Li Man suddenly leaned over mysteriously and whispered, Xian, is that person the legendary Gu Shirley?" When she said this, the excitement in her eyes could not be concealed. Gu Shangyin nodded, puzzled. She asked, "You also know Big Sister Shirley?" Li Man nodded vigorously. "Of course, Gu Shirley is my idol. I once saw with my own eyes that he sent a hooligan who came to our school to collect protection money flying with one kick. He's simply too handsome." Gu Shangyin. Children these days, their beauty was really different. In the neighboring Lin City First High School, Lu Yu also knew about Huang and Yuan and Qing Luo Chen. "Top student Lu, did you hear? Our Xian's boyfriend cheated on her?" Voila, Lu Yu's pen made a scratch on the page of the book. He coldly said. Chapter 520. It was a rare once-a-month holiday. In the past, Huang On would bring Chong Xian around Lin City for a stroll at such times. But this time, Huang On said that the school team had something to do and asked Gu Shengyin to rest at home. Gu Shengyin knew who had something to do. She called a few people one by one. First, it was Gu Shirley, then Li Man, and then Chong Xian's good friends in school. Her reason was that it was a rare holiday and everyone was going out to play. Among these people, other than Gu Shirley, they were all good girls who were focused on studying. At first, Gu Shirley felt a little depressed when she saw this. After all, in her mind, these top students with good grades had always had their eyes on the top of their heads. They would never bother with a bad student like her. The other girls looked at Gu Shirley and were a little scared. After all, in their minds, Gu Shirley was the kind of bad student who was disobedient, undisciplined, and liked to fight and cause trouble. But there was Li Man. Before anyone could speak, Gu Shirley saw a quiet girl with glasses walk over. Her eyes flashed with a fanaticism that didn't match her appearance. "Senior Shirley, my name is Li Man. I'm Xuan's deskmate," Li Man introduced herself. "You know me?" Gu Shirley was surprised. The kindness in the girl's eyes made her expression soften. Li Man nodded vigorously. "Of course. I think Senior Shirley is very handsome." Gu Shirley could not help but laugh. She glanced at Gu Shengyin. What kind of friends did Xian have? All of them did not play by the rules. She looked at Li Man and could not help but smile. "Thank you for the compliment. You're very beautiful too." Since she knew one of them, Gu Shirley naturally introduced herself to the others. Both sides realized that the other party was not as difficult to get along with as they thought. They were surprisingly harmonious. "Xian, where do you plan to take us to play today?" Li Man asked. Gu Shengyin had asked them out in the name of taking them out to play. When she heard the question, she smiled and said, "The second prize for the physics competition this time is quite a lot. My parents let me keep it all for myself. What do you think about going to the new underwater world?" A girl said, "The underwater world. I'm planning to go there when I'm free." Everyone thought that it was a good idea to have a barbecue after watching it. Gu Shengyin was in a good mood as she set off with her little friends. Of course, the reason why she chose the underwater world was not just for fun. The real important point was, Huang and Yuan and Qing Luo Chen's date was at this place. Gu Shengyin and the others came in the morning, while Huang On date was in the afternoon. Gu Shengyin invited everyone to enjoy the scenery and eat. After all, even though she had brought them here out of selfishness, since she was treating, she naturally had to let them have a good time, right? After the meal, Li Man suddenly said, "Oh, I forgot that there's a mermaid performance on the second floor. Shall we go and take a look?" Everyone's interest was piqued by her words, and they all expressed their desire to go and take a look. Gu Shengyin, who was worried about finding a reason to let everyone in, said, Man, good job. She really was a godly assist." Li Man excitedly walked in front, wanting to see what the mermaid performance was like. However, she suddenly stopped in her tracks. Because in front of her, there were two familiar figures holding hands and talking intimately. The smile on the boy's face looked very happy. Chapter 521. Li Man recognized Huang and Yuan and also recognized the girl by his side. She unconsciously stopped and turned around. She didn't know if she should tell Gu Shengyin or tell them to change paths. But Gu Shengyin had already seen it. Gu Shengyin wasn't the only one who saw this. The people around her also saw this scene clearly. Gu Shengyin's face instantly turned pale. These days, no matter what rumor she heard, no matter what people said about Huang and Yuan and Qing Luo Chen, she had always comforted herself that it was all fake. But seeing the two of them being so intimate, she couldn't lie to herself anymore. The little girl's eyes were wide open as she stared at the two of them not far away. Even she didn't expect tears to fall down her cheeks. It was probably because the disbelief and pain in her eyes were too strong that the girl by her side panicked and quickly went to her side to comfort her. Li Man took out a tissue from her bag and helped Gu Shengyin wipe the tears that couldn't be stopped. Gu Shengyin didn't move at all as she let her wipe, but her eyes stubbornly looked over there. Li Man said with heartache, Xian, don't cry. You're this sad and the two of them are still there, it's not worth it. She seemed a bit angry as she said this. She handed the tissue to the other girl and angrily said, No. I have to ask Huang and Yuan, how did our Xian let him down, how could she do this kind of thing? When she turned around, she found that the shameless couple was kissing each other. Li Man was stunned. She unconsciously turned back to look at Gu Shengyin. She found that she was tightly pursing her lips and her tears had stopped, but her eyes were still a bit red. In her eyes, there was no sadness and shock from before. There was only darkness and a deathly stillness. This kind of Gu Shengyin seemed to be fine, but it made people feel even more heartache. Gu Shili, who had been standing on the side without making a sound, suddenly gave a cold snort. This kind of man, what's there to ask? She directly walked towards the two of them who were kissing and forcefully separated them. Huang and Yuan and Qing Luo Chen were being lovey-dovey with each other when they were caught off guard. They were embarrassed and angry. Huang Anyuan blushed and turned his head. Who's so short? Pa. What he got in return was a resounding slap. Gu Shili waved his hand and looked at him with disdain. Scum. She turned around and looked at Qing Luo Chen on the other side, who had been shocked by this unforeseen event. She gave him another slap in the face. Pa. Gu Shili glanced at her contemptuously and spat out, B*tc. She sneered and reached out her hand to point at the two of them. The two of you are quite compatible. Qing Luo Chen came back to her senses and realized that she had been slapped in front of everyone. She turned around and looked around. Sure enough, she saw many people looking at her. She felt a huge sense of shame surround her. She covered her face and screamed, Gu Shili, you dare to hit me? Gu Shili didn't even bat an eyelid. You're so shameless, so what if I hit you? Qing Luo Chen was so angry that her tears were about to fall. She unconsciously turned to look at Huang and Yuan. At this time, girls hoped that their boyfriends would stand up for them. Who knew that when she looked over, she would see Huang and Yuan looking in a direction in a daze. She had a bad feeling in her heart. Chapter 522. Sure enough, Qing Luo Chen followed Huang and Yuan's gaze and saw a familiar figure. Chong Xian. Qing Luo Chen and Chong Xian had never officially met before. But Qing Luo Chen was very familiar with this girl. Ever since she fell in love with Huang Anyuan, she had done a lot of research on this girl who was said to be his childhood sweetheart for more than 10 years. Qing Luo Chen had always been very confident in herself. She felt that this little girl who hadn't grown up yet would only be defeated if she met her. But seeing Huang and Yuan like this, seeing him looking at Chong Xian with a worried and guilty gaze, this was the first time she wasn't confident in her own charm. And Yuan, you're just going to let this woman bully me? She said in dissatisfaction, trying to call back Huang and Yuan's thoughts. Huang and Yuan looked at Gu Shili and didn't know what to say. Gu Shili looked like he was venting for Xian. He was indeed in the wrong. Qing Luo Chen sneered, Huang and Yuan, Qing Luo Chen didn't want all the boys who pursued me and chose you. Can't you act like a man at this crucial moment? She saw Huang Anyuan's conflicted expression, but he still looked at Chong Xian from time to time. She only felt wronged and ashamed in her heart. Do you think that your girlfriend will continue to be with you after seeing the two of us like this? These words seemed to wake Huang and Yuan up. His expression shook and he didn't care about Qing Luo Chen and Gu Shili. He quickly walked over to Gu Shengyin. Qing Luo Chen was left alone and she was so angry that her tears were about to fall. Gu Shili crossed his arms and sneered, See, you tried so hard to get between the two of them, but in reality? What do they think you are? The most important thing in Huang and Yuan's heart is still Xian. She said this, but she was a bit worried. What if Xian was convinced by Huang and Yuan and still wanted to be with him? Gu Shili sighed in his heart. Although it was her freedom to choose, If Xian really chose to be with Huang and Yuan, he would be disappointed. She didn't like to study and her family situation was complicated. She saw some things more clearly than good children who only wanted to study. Men were the most unreliable things. This was especially true for someone like Huang Anyuan, who had learned to have a foot in 2 boats in high school. He wasn't someone who could live a long life together. Huang Anyuan came to Gu Xingyi's side. His face still had the handprint of Gu Shirley's slap. He looked extremely ridiculous. Xian, listen to my explanation. Huang Anyuan opened his mouth and said. Gu Xingyi looked at him calmly. There was no joy or anger in her voice. Explain that I've been watching you guys for so long and that the person holding hands with Qing Luo Chen isn't you? Or is it our misconception that the 2 of you kissed each other? Huang Anyuan's face was pale. He had never seen Xian like this before. In his impression, Xian had smiled at him, cried, and acted coquettishly. However, he had never seen her like this before. It was as though she was looking at something unbearable. I was wrong. Huang Anyuan looked at Gu Shengyin with a sincere gaze and admitted his mistake without hesitation. Xian, can you forgive me this once, considering our relationship of more than 10 years? Chapter 523. Gu Shengyin didn't say anything. Huang Anyuan looked at her nervously. He really liked her. Just as he said, more than 10 years of feelings couldn't be given up so easily. Even Huang Anyuan himself had imagined that he would start a family with Chongxian in the future. In the future he envisioned, he had never left Chongxian. But how ridiculous it would be if word got out that he liked her and wanted to marry her, but he couldn't resist the temptation of another woman. Gu Shengyin looked at Huang Anyuan. She made her own response. Slap. Just like Gu Shirley's slap, she also slapped Huang Anyuan. Seeing Huang Anyuan looking at her in disbelief, Gu Shengyin smiled. I'm sorry, Huang Anyuan. You're not that shameless. Huang Anyuan. This was the first time in Chongxian's life that she called him by his full name. Why should I, Chongxian, suffer and forgive someone like you? Just like you said, we have more than 10 years of feelings. You can ignore this and trample on our more than 10 years of feelings. Why should I suffer for it? You owe me that slap just now. Huang Anyuan, we're finished, Gu Shengyin said. She turned around and walked toward the exit without looking back. Li Shirley slowly chased after their feelings. Gu Shirley also walked over. When he passed by Huang Anyuan, he sighed and said, I didn't expect Xian to have such a strong temper despite looking so small and soft. Not bad, I like it. Huang Anyuan didn't move and let her ridicule him. Gu Shirley didn't spend much effort on him. He walked in the direction Gu Shengyin left. Gu Shengyin's eyes were red when she left. The tears that she had just held back fell instantly. She found a secluded bench and lay down on it, crying her heart out. Li Man and the others didn't stop her this time. Although Xian seemed to leave freely, they all knew how much this girl had liked Huang Anyuan before. The more deeply she liked him, the more pain she felt when she left. Until Gu Shengyin raised her head. The tears on her face had been wiped clean. She smiled at them and said, I'm sorry. I wanted to invite you out to play, but I didn't expect to encounter such a disappointing situation. Gu Shirley snorted. You know how precious my time is. In the end, I spent more than an hour watching you cry. Gu Shengyin smiled embarrassedly, but her eyes were resolute. Don't worry, big sister Shirley. This is definitely the last time I cry for him. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other at night. Gu Shirley smiled. It's good that you think that way. How old are you? He had only met a piece of trash. Our Xian is such a cute girl. She will definitely meet a boyfriend who will love her the most in the world. Li Man also chimed in. Sister Shirley is right. Huang Anyuan losing you is his regret. Our Xian will definitely meet someone better in the future. Gu Shengyin thought that she had already met the best. She smiled embarrassedly. What nonsense are you talking about? I don't want to think about these things now. I should study hard and get into a good university. Li Man pouted. You still have to study hard. I think you can get into a good university with your eyes closed. Her tone was full of jealousy. The others also joked and tried to make Gu Shengyin feel better. A good university. Which university would Lu Yu get into? Chapter 524. The news of Chong Xian and Huang On Yuan breaking up quickly spread throughout the school. It wasn't that Li Man and the others were gossiping, but that the two of them were too obvious. In the past, as long as something happened to Huang On Yuan or the basketball team, Chong Xian would be the first one to rush over. But now, when people who didn't know the situation called her to watch a game, they were all rejected. Not to mention that Huang On Yuan had been standing outside the classroom for the past few days. Anyone with a discerning eye could see who he was waiting for. But Huang On Yuan had been standing there for so many days and Gu Shengyin didn't even look at him. Everyone connected the rumors that had been spreading around the school not long ago and of course they understood what was going on. Since Gu Shengyin took over Chong Xian's body, her relationship with her classmates had become much more harmonious. She was cute and had good grades. She didn't find it troublesome to help her classmates solve any problems they had. Everyone in the class laughed and said that Xian was now the treasure of the class. Now, the treasure of the class was wronged. That's right, even if it looked like Gu Shengyin had dumped Huang On Yuan, the people of the class all agreed that Huang On Yuan had wronged Gu Shengyin. The truth was just like that. Bullying someone and still daring to come to Class 1's territory, if they didn't mess with you, who would they mess with? As a result, the students on duty in Class 1 became unprecedentedly diligent. When class was over, as long as Huang On Yuan appeared outside Class 1, the students on duty in Class 1 felt that the corridor outside the classroom seemed to be a little dirty. Every time they mopped the floor, the students would always, accidentally, throw the dirty mop onto him. Huang On Yuan didn't even have time to get angry before he received a sincere smile and an apology. Ah. This student, I'm really sorry, I didn't see you here, hey. How could Huang On Yuan not understand that the people of Class 1 didn't like him? But there was no other way. Xian was here. If he didn't wait for her to say something, he wouldn't give up. It wasn't that Qing Luo Chen didn't come looking for him during this time, but his heart was filled with Chong Xian. Every time she went over, it made Qing Luo Chen very angry, so she went to vent her anger on her own. A week later, Huang On Yuan still refused to leave the classroom. Everyone in Class 1 was annoyed by him. That day, a girl who went out with Gu Shengyin to play and saw him kissing Qing Luo Chen, decided to go all the way and did something sinister. She wrote a small note and placed a copy in Huang and Yuan and Qing Luo Chen's office. The content was that the two of them were in a relationship. It was commonly known as snitching. A key high school like No. 3 High School had always been very strict about students falling in love at a young age. Previously, Huang On Yuan's homeroom teacher probably knew about the matter between Huang On Yuan and Chong Xian. However, after understanding the situation of the two and knowing that the parents of the two families had tacitly agreed to it, he didn't care too much. But now that it was Huang and Yuan and Qing Luo Chen, it was different. Puppy love. Discipline, he must be severely disciplined. Students should prioritize their studies. This kind of thing must be notified to the parents. At noon the next day, Huang On Yuan, who would appear at the door of Class 1 every day, was nowhere to be seen. Gu Shengyin received the message from the system and almost fainted from laughing. Chapter 525. When Huang and Yuan's father received a call from Huang and Yuan's class teacher saying that his son was in a relationship, he didn't take it seriously. As his parents, how could they not see the relationship between his son and Xian? Xian's grades were good and she was well behaved. He and his wife were very satisfied. But since his son's class teacher had called, it was better to go. However, when Father Huang arrived at school and listened to the teacher, he found that there was something wrong with the girl who was in a relationship with his son. Sorry teacher, can I ask, who is the girl? With Aoran Yuan? Huang and Yuan's class teacher pushed up his glasses and coughed. It's a second-year female student. I'm sorry, Mr. Huang, we can't disclose the student's information. Second year. Then it wasn't Xian. This stinky brat. The only thing Father Huang wanted to do now was to take out his belt and give his son a good beating. Huang and Yuan's walking posture was a bit strange when he arrived at school the next day. Qing Luo Chen said that she had taken a week off. When Gu Shengyin returned home at night, she found that Mother Chong and Father Chang's expressions weren't very good. Gu Shengyin thought for a bit and knew that the Huang family had come over. But since they didn't say anything, Gu Shengyin of course wouldn't take the initiative to mention this matter. After dinner, the family sat in the living room watching the news. Mother Chong came over with cut fruits and finally couldn't help but speak. Xian, you and an Yuan that child. Mother Chong hesitated. Although they knew about the two children's matters in their hearts as parents, they had never talked about it on the surface. Gu Shengyin picked up an apple and took a bite. It was sweet and juicy. She swallowed the apple in her mouth and said, I know that Father and Mother knew about the matter between me and him, but it's all in the past now. Father and Mother, don't worry, I will study hard and never think about this kind of thing again. Father Chong and Mother Chong looked at each other. They were worried that their daughter would be sad because of this matter. Why did it seem like their daughter was explaining to them now? But looking at her expression, it didn't seem like she was sad, so they were relieved. Perhaps his daughter was still young and didn't understand the feelings between men and women. Mom and Dad don't have anything else to say. But Xian, if you get bullied outside, don't keep it to yourself. Tell Mom and Dad, okay? Papa Chong said. Papa Chong rarely interacted with his daughter, but Gu Shengyin knew that his love for his daughter was no less than Mama Chang's. Got it, Gu Shengyin said with a smile. Your daughter is so cute. Others can't wait to adore her. How can they bear to bully me? Mrs. Chong chuckled. You're already so old, but you're still so shameless. Gu Shengyin didn't have any psychological burden when she acted cute. I'm just telling the truth. The Chong family was happy and harmonious, but the atmosphere in Huang Anyuan's house was not very good these few days. After Mr. Huang returned home from school that day, he told his wife about this matter. Mother Huang knew about her son's relationship with Xian. She didn't have any opinion about her future daughter-in-law being a girl like Xian. But her son had unexpectedly broken up with Xian and even fell in love at such a young age. The husband and wife found out that their son was the one who cheated on her. Although it was their son's fault and it seemed like they couldn't be in-laws anymore, the relationship between the two families couldn't be thrown away. After the husband and wife visited the Chong family, as expected, the other side's attitude was very cold. Although Father Huang and Mother Huang were angry at their son, he was still their biological son. Most of their resentment was placed on Qing Luo Chen, who had seduced their son. Chapter 526. Huang and Yuan hadn't been doing well recently. Xian ignored him. He didn't know how the class teacher found out about him and Qing Luo Chen, but now she was watching him very closely. His dad wanted to beat him up whenever he saw him, and his back was still aching. What he couldn't stand the most was the way his classmates looked at him. Even his good friends from the basketball team looked at him with pity. It's not that I want to say this, brother, but you're not right. Little sister-in-law. Oh no, Chong Xian is such a good girl, but you don't know how to cherish her. I advised you to think about it. It was as if everyone was looking at him with the word, scumbag, in their eyes. There was once when he went to the school store to buy things, and saw Xian being surrounded by a large group of classmates from afar, with an undisguised happy look on her face. During this time, he had been annoyed by all kinds of things and had a trace of resentment towards Xian. If she hadn't been so determined to break up, how could he have fallen into such a situation? He had already admitted his mistake, and was just short of kneeling down and begging her. What else did she want? Everything was going wrong for him now, but she was doing well, living a very comfortable life. Thinking of this, Huang and Yuan's resentment towards Gu Shengyin became even deeper. If Gu Shengyin knew what he was thinking, she would definitely say, this person's brain is probably sick. Everything was done by Huang and Yuan himself, but now things were out of his expectations, and he wanted to push all the blame onto others. Why don't you go to heaven? It was a coincidence. On this day, Lin City's first high school and third high school held a basketball tournament. Huang and Yuan, as the main force of the basketball team, naturally had to play. He didn't know why, but the guys from first high school seemed to have taken medicine today. They didn't even care about snatching the ball, and just wanted to block him. As long as he was about to get the ball, the opposing team would immediately put down their original positions and block him even if they lost the ball. Although third high school and first high school had always been competitors, but it wasn't to this extent, right? In the end, third high school won by a narrow margin. But from beginning to end, Huang and Yuan didn't even touch the ball. First high school's team had an excited look after the game, as if they weren't the ones who lost. A bunch of lunatics. Huang on Yuan cursed gloomily. You brat, who did you just say? One of the students from number 1 high school actually heard it. Just as number 1 high school was worrying about finding an excuse to cause trouble, Huang on Yuan came up with an excuse. The basketball team from number 1 middle school walked over aggressively. The leader looked at Huang on Yuan and said, "The reason why our 2 schools are competing in the league tournament is to promote our friendship. Third high school student, you're causing trouble." Friendship? Huang on Yuan cursed in his heart. What kind of friendship is there between me and you? He said coldly, "You're thinking too much." The people from number 1 high school were unhappy with his attitude. What do you mean by that? Do you think you're awesome? Scolding people after winning? Is this the quality of number 3 high school? Do you think our number 1 middle school is a pushover? He said, "If you don't apologize to us properly today, I'm telling you, this isn't over." Huang on Yuan was only a 15 or 16-year-old boy. He couldn't stand being provoked by others, so his temper flared up when he heard that. "I'm not apologizing today, so what? A bunch of idiots. You really think you're a piece of cake in our number 3 high school's territory?" Chapter 527. Gu Shengyin heard the news that Huang on Yuan had a conflict with the people from number 1 middle school on the basketball court. Later, the results came out. Huang on Yuan was the first to scold and provoke them. After all, number 1 middle school students weren't from their school. The teachers from number 3 middle school informed their teachers to take them back. Huang on Yuan was given a demerit. The basketball captain of number 1 middle school went to look for Lu Yu after returning to school. "Genius Lu, we've already done as you said and taught that kid Huang on Yuan a lesson. Look, the notebook that you promised us." Lu Yu nodded. "I'll get Zhang Yun to send it to you later." The basketball captain smiled foolishly. There was no trace of the arrogance from before. "Okay, then I'll go first." As he walked, he was still muttering in his heart. He didn't know what Huang on Yuan did to provoke Genius Lu. After Lu Yu returned to the dormitory, he saw Zhang Yun with a sneaky smile behind the computer. "I say, Lu Yu, I heard that you specifically asked Zhang Chao and the others to cause trouble for Huang on Yuan during the competition. I remember that you're not familiar with him at all." Lu Yu took out a book and opened it. He said lightly, "I just don't like him." Zhang Yun said with a meaningful "oh" and said with a smirk, "Is it purely because you don't like him or because you want to stand up for a cute little girl?" Lu Yu glanced at him. "I've already sorted out my notes." Zhang Yun immediately reached out his hand and made a zipper over his mouth. I understand. I don't know anything. I won't say anything." Only then did Lu Yu lower his head to continue reading. Huang on Yuan finally didn't come looking for her again. Gu Shengyin only felt relieved. Being looked at with such a nostalgic and sad gaze every day was really disgusting. He was the one who cheated on her and fell in love with her, but he still had to pretend that his love was as deep as the sea. Those who didn't know would think that she was the one who had a change of heart. It was really disgusting. After school that day, Gu Shengyin was walking alone with his school bag. Chong Xian. Someone was calling her from afar. Gu Shengyin turned around and saw a familiar face. Qing Luo Chen. She planned to pretend that she didn't see it, but who knew that the other party would chase after her. I want to talk to you, it won't take long. Qing Luo Chen's expression was very arrogant. A beauty like her indeed had the right to be arrogant. However, Gu Shengyin did not buy it at all. Qing Luo Chen saw that the other party was completely ignoring her, so she bit her lips. Just treat it as me begging you, all right, Chongxian? Gu Shengyin stopped and looked at her. The two of them went to a coffee shop near the school. Gu Shengyin glanced around. The seats were separated by frosted glass. The entire shop was decorated in a very bourgeois manner. Of course, the price was also quite bourgeois. Qing Luo Chen's family condition was indeed not bad. Most students wouldn't choose to spend their money in this kind of place. Chongxian, I know that you and Huang On Yuan were originally a couple, but didn't you break up already? Since you've already broken up, can you tell On Yuan to stop hanging out with you after you've broken up? I really like him, but now he can't settle down, he still misses you in his heart. Gu Shengyin raised her hand. Stop. She looked at Qing Luo Chen with a strange expression. So, you came looking for me just to say this? Do you think that when I only gave Huang On Yuan a slap, was it unfair to you? Chapter 528. Gu Shengyin didn't even look at the expensive cup of coffee on the table. First, since you know that I have already broken up with him, then his matters have nothing to do with me, Chongxian. Second, although I have broken up with Huang and Yuan, it doesn't mean that everything in the past has been written off. To you, Qing Luo Chen. Gu Shengyin looked at her and continued, a third party who comes between others, I don't like and hate it from the bottom of my heart. Third, you can't get Huang and Yuan's heart. This has nothing to do with me. It's you who is too useless. Please don't put the problem on me, I won't take the blame. Fourth, who you like, how much you like, these have nothing to do with me. Gu Shengyin stood up after saying this, and when she was about to leave, she looked at Qing Luo Chen again. Right, I hope that you don't look for me next time. It's best if you don't appear in front of me. Because, next time, I can't guarantee that I'll have such a good rest to talk nonsense with you instead of pouring this thing on the table on your head. Gu Shengyin left without looking back, leaving Qing Luo Chen sitting there in a daze. Her face alternated between red and white. In fact, how could she not know that her behavior today was simply too much of a bully? But, she was still imagining that Chongxian was a very soft and cute girl. If she acted pitiful in front of her, what if her heart softened? She knew that her reputation wasn't good now. If Chongxian was willing to say a few good words for her, her days in school would be much better. But she never thought that Chongxian wasn't as soft as the rumors said. On the contrary, she was very eloquent. She was ridiculed by her and couldn't say anything to refute it. Qing Luo Chen thought about what Gu Shengyin said to her, and the more she thought about it, the angrier she got. She actually wanted Chongxian to never appear in third high school. As long as she was no longer in third high school, then the matter between her and Huang On Yuan would gradually be forgotten, right? Gu Shengyin carried her school bag and walked slowly on the road. After walking for a while, she suddenly turned her head. Genius Lu, you've been following me for so long. Are you planning to treat me to dinner? Seeing the other party looking at him with a smile, Lu Yu's expression softened. Sure. He saw the other party's eyes widen a little, as if she didn't expect him to agree. He couldn't help but smile even more. What do you want to eat? Gu Shengyin's eyes curved, revealing the shallow dimples at the corner of her mouth. Genius Lu is treating me to a meal. How many people can have such an honor? Since you're treating, you can make the decision. Lu Yu thought for a moment and brought Gu Shengyin to a place. A noodle shop hidden in the depths of an alley. Gu Shengyin shook her head and said, There's an old saying, the fragrance of wine is hidden in the depths of the alley. I don't know if the noodles in the depths of the alley have the same effect. Lu Yu laughed when he heard this. He said, Don't worry, I won't let you down. The customers in the shop were very good and the entire environment was very clean and tidy. The beef noodles they ordered were quickly served. It smells so good. Gu Shengyin couldn't help sniffing and took a sip of the soup. It's delicious. She narrowed her eyes in satisfaction. That expression was like a cat that got its favorite dried fish. Chapter 529. Lu Yu wanted to laugh when he saw her like this. How could there be a girl who could show so many different sides? He couldn't help saying, I saw you talking about that girl one by one. Looking at you now, if I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe that it was the same person. Gu Shengyin ate a mouthful of noodles. The noodles were chewy and the taste of the soup was all in. It was really delicious. She seriously replied, You have to show the kind of attitude you want to show to the kind of person you are dealing with. That Qing Luo Chen, do you believe that if I don't show a strong side, she will think that I'm a soft persimmon that can be easily pinched? She couldn't act like a sweet and innocent girl in front of her lover. Her true self had to be known by him. Lu Yu's focus wasn't on this at all. He said, Then tell me, why are you like this in front of me? Pure, harmless, just like a delicate kitten. Gu Shengyin blinked and giggled as she said, Because I know that you like me from the bottom of your heart, you're really good to me. She didn't hesitate at all when she said this, but Lu Yu's ears suddenly turned red. How could she say the word like, in front of a boy so easily? Lu Yu struggled with himself for a bit and found that Gu Shengyin's expression was very normal. There wasn't anything strange at all. Only then did he realize that the like she said was completely different from the like he understood. He thought this through and secretly laughed at himself. Lu Yu, people say that you're mature and steady, you're a general who won't change his expression even if a tie collapses in front of you. But who would have thought that you would be confused by a little girl's unintentional words? He put those thoughts aside and began to eat his noodles. After eating, Gu Shengyin was about to say goodbye to Lu Yu. Thank you for the noodles. Next time when you're free, I'll treat you to a meal. Gu Shengyin said like they were good brothers. Lu Yu couldn't help revealing a smile. Then I'll be waiting. Seeing that Gu Shengyin was about to leave, Lu Yu thought for a moment and called out to her, I heard about what happened between you and your boyfriend. Don't be sad, and, even though your boyfriend isn't that great, there are still many good boys in this world. Just like me. Gu Shengyin smiled and said, I know, I won't be sad for such a person. Of course, there are good boys. For example, the genius Lu in front of me is handsome and gentle. He's cold on the outside but warm on the inside. Her last words could not be heard clearly as the girl ran away. Lu Yu stood in the afternoon sunset, watching the girl's figure get farther and farther away. Her shadow was pulled very long, with the infinite vitality of youth. His heart was beating very fast because of Gu Shengyin's last sentence. So, in her heart, he was a handsome and gentle Prince Charming. A breeze that came out of nowhere lifted the corners of his lips and lingered there for a long time. Gu Shengyin, who flirted with her lover every day, was in a very good mood when she returned home. If she didn't meet someone waiting at her door, this good mood might have lasted for the whole night. What are you doing here? She put away the smile on her face and said coldly. Chapter 530. Huang and Yuan looked at her and didn't know what kind of expression to show on his face. He thought about it and decided to get straight to the point. Xian, can you put in a good word for me in school? My reputation in school isn't good right now, even my roommates don't care about me. He said to Gu Shengyin in what he thought was a very sincere manner, Xian, I've already apologized to you for what happened in the past. Let this matter pass and don't make things difficult for me anymore, alright? Gu Shengyin acted like it was her first time meeting him as she looked at Huang and Yuan from head to toe. Huang on Yuan, did I slap you a little too lightly? You have to understand one thing, it's you who wronged me, not me who wronged you. I, Chong Xian, am not some holy white lotus. After being slapped in the face, I still have to smile and say that it's a good slap. Also, your reputation in school isn't good. This is your own doing, it has nothing to do with me. You don't have enough face for me to make things difficult for you. Now, immediately, right now, leave my house. Gu Shengyin finished and didn't care about him anymore. She took out her keys and opened the door. With a pang sound, Huang and Yuan was locked outside. This kind of person really made people feel vexed. Huang and Yuan didn't give up and shouted outside the door, "Chongxian, you're really ruthless. We've been friends for more than 10 years and you just threw it away like that. Crazy. Host, be careful tomorrow. Qing Luo Chen found someone to teach you a lesson." The system suddenly reminded her. Gu Shengyin nodded to show that she understood. The next day before school ended, she specially went to the second grade area to find Gu Shirli. Gu Shirli heard her intentions and raised his eyebrows in surprise before nodding. Gu Shengyin walked back alone. When she passed by a remote alley, she found that she was blocked by people. There were gangsters on both sides dressed in non-mainstream clothes. "What do you want?" Gu Shengyin grabbed her bag and calmly asked. "I have money in my bag. If you want, I can give it all to you." The leader, Little Yellow Hair, sized her up from head to toe and snorted, "Such a sensible little sister is rare nowadays. Normally, if we were in a good mood, we might have let you go. Unfortunately, someone paid us to teach you a lesson today." What did I just hear? Who dares to make things difficult for someone under my, Gu Shirli's protection? An arrogant voice rang out. When the yellow-haired man heard this voice, his heart skipped a beat. He looked up and saw Gu Shirli standing there with a large group of people, staring at him coldly. How did he offend this ancestor? A smile quickly appeared on the yellow-haired man's face. "This is all a misunderstanding. I didn't know that this was the person you were looking after, Miss Gu. It's a misunderstanding." Misunderstanding? Gu Shirli sneered. "Do you believe that even if I leave you with a leg today, it will be a misunderstanding tomorrow?" The yellow-haired man knew that it was impossible for him to walk out of here peacefully. He gritted his teeth, raised his hand, and slapped himself hard. "I was blind." After slapping himself, he looked at Gu Shirli and saw that the other party's expression was indifferent and didn't say anything. He hardened his heart and slapped himself hard in the face again. After slapping himself more than 20 times, both sides of the yellow-haired man's face were swollen beyond recognition. It was obvious that this person was very harsh on himself and didn't hold back at all. "Stop." Gu Shirli finally spoke and looked at him. "I'm in a good mood today. You take your people back. Whatever the person behind the scenes told you to do to my sister Chongxian, you'll pay her back in full. Do you understand?" The yellow-haired man acted as if he had been granted amnesty and hurriedly took him away from here. Chapter 531. Gu Shengyin took her school bag and walked in front of Gu Shirli. "Thank you, big sister Shirli." Gu Shirli glared at her in annoyance. "How do you know that someone wants to deal with you?" Gu Shengyin giggled and said, "I can predict the future." Gu Shengyin rolled her eyes and didn't keep asking. She just said, "Be careful, you have to tell me if there's anything, okay?" Gu Shengyin nodded. The next day, Qing Luo Chen didn't come to school. On the third day, on the school's forum, on Lin City's official forum, Qing Luo Chen's nude photos were anonymously posted. The beautiful girl was stripped of her clothes and covered her body as she sat in the dark alley. Her expression revealed deep despair and fear. Her body was very white and there were purple bruises on it. The surrounding environment was incomparably gloomy, and under the contrast, it created a kind of tyrannical beauty in people's hearts. Lin City's third high school exploded. No one thought that the people around them would encounter this kind of thing. Gu Shengyin didn't have any pity for Qing Luo Chen. Because these were things that Qing Luo Chen had told those people to use on her. Qing Luo Chen was better than Chongxian in the original plot. Those hoodlums were probably scared by Gu Shirli and didn't dare do anything else. At least her innocence was saved. Although like this, there wasn't much difference between saving it and not saving it. When Gu Shirli came to find Gu Shengyin, her expression wasn't very good. She thought that the grudges between students would just be a small lesson and a few slaps. She didn't think that the other side would be so ruthless. "What deep grudge do you have with her?" Gu Shirley asked. Gu Shengyin had an innocent look. "You know, big sister Shirley, the only interaction between me and Qing Luo Chen is Huang and Yuan. I'm the victim, all right?" Gu Shirley thought that if Gu Shengyin didn't find her that day, then the person who suffered this kind of thing would be her. Her heart was filled with rage. "If I knew that Qing Luo Chen was this ruthless, I would have just returned the favor. It really is too easy on her," Gu Shirley hatefully said. Since their daughter had encountered such a thing, Qing Luo Chen's family of course called the police. Those hooligans didn't dare to betray Gu Shirley, so they had to take the blame themselves. He said that he didn't like this girl, so he wanted to teach her a lesson. It was just a small joke. A small joke. The policeman in charge of the interrogation looked at the hooligans with a gaze as sharp as a sword. But the little hoodlums weren't afraid of this. They didn't do anything to hurt Qing Luo Chen. Adding in the fact that he was in the underworld, he had some connections. At most he would stay in there for a year or so. Who would have thought that Qing Luo Chen wouldn't give up at all? When she encountered this kind of thing, she became hysterical. When the police came to her for evidence, she insisted that it was Chong Xian who did it. Why did it involve another person? The police found that something was wrong and asked carefully, but Qing Luo Chen stuttered. In the end, the truth was revealed. It turned out that this girl was reaping what she sowed. Originally, she was the one who hired people behind the scenes. The things that she suffered now should have all fallen onto another girl. What a vicious heart. Chapter 532. Was this the so-called retribution? The policewoman in charge of the interrogation was very sympathetic towards Qing Luo Chen. After all, she was only a 17-year-old girl and she suddenly encountered such an unfortunate thing. But after knowing the truth, her impression of Qing Luo Chen fell to the bottom. Even her attitude was clearly cold. As for Qing Luo Chen's parents, they were completely frightened by their daughter. How could their beautiful, smart, and obedient daughter do such a thing? But no matter what, she was still their only daughter. If that girl called Chong Xian really took revenge after finding out the truth, they couldn't help but seek justice for their daughter. Gu Shengyin was called out by the class teacher during class. There were several uniformed policemen in the office. Gu Shengyin didn't know what to do. The two policemen wanted to maintain their prestige as policemen, but seeing that the other side was such a small, deer-like girl, their faces couldn't help softening. Gu Shengyin's nervous gaze, the policewoman's voice was very gentle. "You are Chong Xian, right? Don't be afraid, we just came to ask you a few questions." Gu Shengyin's class teacher also said, "I know this child Chong Xian very well. She is very pure. She definitely wouldn't do such a thing." Gu Shengyin slowly calmed down and suddenly asked, "You want to ask me about Qing Luo Chen?" The two policemen looked at each other and it was still the policewoman who spoke. "Can you tell us what happened that day?" Gu Shengyin nodded. "That day after school, I went to find one of my senior sisters. I'm timid and heard my classmates say that Qing Luo Chen is a petty person who likes to take revenge on others. I was a bit scared and had her follow me for this period of time. Then, we met those hooligans." Big Sister Shirley looked very angry and scolded those hooligans. Then she told them to teach the person who wanted to teach me a lesson. Gu Shengyin said this and her body trembled slightly. "We all thought that she just wanted to beat me up, I never thought that." She couldn't continue, but her eyes were filled with fear. The two policemen looked at Gu Shengyin's haggard face and knew that she must have been scared out of her wits these past few days. That's right, if it weren't for the sudden turn of events that day, these things would have fallen on her. After asking all the questions they wanted to ask, they left the school. Speaking of which, this matter had nothing to do with this girl named Chong Xian. She was, at best, a victim. Qing Luo Chen reaped what she sowed. The news that Gu Shengyin was called away by the police was quickly spread by the students in the class. The people in the school quickly found out that the second-year school beauty Qing Luo Chen was completely reaping what she had sown. She originally wanted to deal with Chong Xian, but in the end, she was the one who got retribution. The students who were full of sympathy for Qing Luo Chen now had looks of disdain when they talked about her. Not only did she steal her boyfriend, she even planned to ruin her. How could there be such a vicious person in this world? Qing Luo Chen's reputation was completely ruined in the entire Lin City 3rd High School. It was impossible for her to stay in Lin City 3rd High School. Chapter 533. Gu Shengyin specially went to look for Gu Shirley because of this. She was a little uneasy. The police came to the school to look for me today. Sister Shirley, will we be okay? Gu Shirley smiled. Don't worry. This matter has nothing to do with us. Even if it does, I can make it have nothing to do with us. Gu Shengyin actually had some understanding of Gu Shirley's background. With her father's secret power and status, no one in Lin City dared to touch her. Gu Shirley rubbed Gu Shengyin's head. Don't worry. Your sister Shirley is here. Nothing will happen to him. Look at you. You haven't slept well these days, right? You have dark circles under your eyes. Gu Shengyin smiled helplessly. She did this on purpose. However, she wasn't the only one who was worried. After knowing what happened at school, Mr. and Mrs. Chong were the ones who were the most worried. They didn't know that something so thrilling had happened to their daughter. If she had almost... That girl was going to destroy their Xian. Mr. Chong had work and couldn't leave. Mrs. Chong simply accompanied her daughter to and from school these few days. She really couldn't be at ease. She also learned that the girl in Xuanxuan school had done this to Xian because of Huang Anyuan. Even though Mr. and Mrs. Chong knew in their hearts that this matter couldn't be blamed on Huang Anyuan, they couldn't help but feel a little angry at him. If Huang Anyuan hadn't provoked her, would this have happened? Mrs. Chong accompanied Gu Shengyin to school for half a month. After much persuasion, Gu Shengyin finally persuaded her not to send her tomorrow. However, after school the next day, Gu Shengyin saw an unexpected person at the school gate. Genius Lu. Gu Shengyin greeted him in surprise. Don't you have class today? Gu Shengyin asked curiously. School had just ended. Although number 1 high school wasn't very far from number 3 high school, it would still take some time to walk there. Under normal circumstances, Lu Yu wouldn't have arrived at number 3 high school's gate at this time. Lu Yu looked at her gently. I'm waiting for you. What he didn't tell her was that ever since he heard about Qing Luo Chen's matter, he had been worried about her. Every day when she went to school, he would personally come over to see her enter the school or be taken away by her parents. Only then would he be at ease. Today, when she didn't see her mother accompanying her to school, he took the initiative to appear at the school gate of the 3rd high school. Gu Shengyin tilted her head. Why are you waiting for me? Do you want me to treat you to a meal? Lu Yu smiled. If you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten that you still owe me a meal. All right, I'll treat you to dinner today. I'll call my mom first. Gu Shengyin took out her phone. At a time like this, if she did not inform Nanny Chong that she would be home late, Nanny Chong would be worried to death. Sure enough, Mrs. Chong, who received the call, asked a lot of questions. In the end, she was relieved after confirming that she was treating a good friend to a meal and promised that the other party would send her back. Let's go. But today, I may have to trouble you to send me home. Gu Shengyin smiled slyly. All right. Lu Yu looked at her curved eyes and thought to himself, even if you don't say it, I still want to see you get home safely. After dinner, Lu Yu sent Gu Shengyin to the door. I'm here. Genius Lu, goodbye. Gu Shengyin waved at Lu Yu. I'll wait for you here tomorrow morning. Lu Yu said this and didn't wait for Gu Shengyin to react before he turned to leave. Chapter 534. Lu Yu quickened his footsteps to leave so that he could hide the redness in his ears. There was another reason. He was afraid of Gu Shengyin's rejection. What if she did not want to be with him every day? What he did not know was that Gu Shengyin, who was behind him, saw his slightly messy footsteps and burst out laughing. When she returned home, Mrs. Chong, who had been waiting in the living room, quickly came up to her and looked at her daughter carefully. She was relieved when she saw that there was nothing wrong with her. "Who is the friend who sent you home today?" Mrs. Chong asked curiously. Gu Shengyin replied, "I met him when I went to the capital to participate in the physics competition. He is a top student from number 1 middle school. I won the second prize and he won the first prize." She thought that Mrs. Chong did not know Lu Yu. Unexpectedly, Mrs. Chong immediately reacted when she heard her words. "Is he the one from number 1 middle school called Lu Yu?" Gu Shengyin added. "Yes, Lu Yu." A smile appeared on Mother Chang's face. "This young man is handsome and energetic." Gu Shengyin looked at her and thought that she was quite familiar with Lu Yu. "Mom, how do you know him?" Mrs. Chong said, "Didn't he appear on our lynching TV station a few times? At our age, who doesn't know him with children in school?" She looked at Gu Shengyin as she said, "You are friends with that child? When you're free tomorrow, invite him over for a meal." She did not feel that there was anything wrong with her daughter being friends with a boy. Gu Shengyin could only attribute this to the power of a top student. She nodded. "Then I will ask him." The next morning, when Gu Shengyin went to school, she saw Lu Yu standing under a tree not far from the neighborhood. He was wearing a white shirt and had his hands in his trouser pockets. She did not know what he was writing with his head lowered. Gu Shengyin saw a few girls who passed by secretly looking at him. "Morning." Gu Shengyin greeted him. Lu Yu turned around and a faint smile appeared on his handsome face. "Morning." Gu Shengyin stuck her tongue out. "I thought you were joking yesterday. I didn't expect you to really come." Lu Yu chuckled and shook his head. He said in a low voice, "Why would I joke with you?" Gu Shengyin did not hear clearly and asked in confusion, "What?" Lu Yu shook his head. Gu Shengyin looked at him and asked, "Have you had breakfast?" Actually, Lu Yu had already eaten. There was an auntie at home who made breakfast. However, when he heard Gu Shengyin's question, he suddenly hesitated and shook his head. Gu Shengyin frowned. "How can you skip breakfast? How about this? I'll tell my mom tomorrow to make more breakfast in the future. I'll bring it to you. Let me tell you, my mom's cooking is very good." Lu Yu listened to the girl beside him chattering all the way. He felt that the whole morning seemed to have brightened up with her lively voice. "Goodbye, top student Lu." Gu Shengyin stopped and said to Lu Yu. They arrived at school. Lu Yu did not say goodbye. He only replied, "See you in the afternoon." Gu Shengyin turned around and walked into the school. She couldn't stop the smile on her face. How could she not have heard what he said? However, she really enjoyed the feeling of being carefully cared for and protected. Chapter 535. Today was destined to not be a peaceful day. After the second class in the morning, Qing Luo Chen's face appeared at the door of the first class. "Chong Xian, come out, I have something to ask you." The whole class quieted down in an instant. Everyone's eyes fell on Qing Luo Chen and Gu Shengyin, who was doing her homework outside the door. Gu Shengyin looked out the window. It was hard to imagine that the person standing outside was the beautiful Qing Luo Chen. Her originally round and glossy face had lost a lot of weight, and her complexion was also incomparably pale. The large coat on her body was empty, and one could see at a glance how thin and weak her body was under the clothes. Of course, no matter how haggard a beauty was, she still had her own charm. It seemed that these days, she didn't have a good time. This was common sense. No matter who it was, they wouldn't have a good time after encountering this kind of thing. The current Qing Luo Chen was like a lone wolf in a desperate situation. No one knew what she would do. Gu Shengyin didn't plan to let herself be cannon fodder. Under everyone's gaze, Gu Shengyin shook her head at Qing Luo Chen, who was outside the window. This was a rejection. The students of the first class could understand her actions. If it was them, they wouldn't want to see this person for the rest of their lives. Seeing Gu Shangyin completely ignoring her, Qing Luo Chen was a little surprised. She said in a sharp voice, "I know some secrets about Huang On Yuan, don't you want to know?" Gu Shangyin secretly laughed. Qing Luo Chen had no other choice. In order to make her leave, she even said this kind of thing. It was a pity. She secretly laughed. Huang On Yuan's secret, what did it have to do with her? She simply took out a pair of headphones from the desk and stuffed them into her ears, showing her rejection to Qing Luo Chen. Seeing her childish action, many people in the first class couldn't help laughing. A few people who didn't like Qing Luo Chen directly said, "Xian doesn't want to talk to you, we're going to class, you should leave." Qing Luo Chen looked at Gu Shangyin with some resentment and left unwillingly. No one thought that this would be the last time they would see Qing Luo Chen. When she woke up from her afternoon nap, Gu Shangyin heard the news of Qing Luo Chen falling off the building. It was said that she jumped from the 6th floor of the school library. By the time the ambulance arrived, she was already dead. In the pocket of Qing Luo Chen's white coat, there was a blood-stained suicide note. The letter was filled with tears of blood. In the end, Qing Luo Chen used a hateful tone to express that the biggest reason she chose to die was because of Huang On Yuan. Some of Huang and Yuan's classmates said that during lunch, Qing Luo Chen went to find Huang and Yuan, and the two of them had an argument at the end of the corridor. They could faintly hear Huang and Yuan calling her dirty and vicious. After that, no one knew where the two of them went. Huang and Yuan returned to the classroom during lunch break, and in less than an hour, the news of Qing Luo Chen's suicide came out. He used his own death to take revenge on others. Gu Shangyin shook her head. It really was a young life. She would never know that her revenge against Huang On Yuan would only be a nightmare for 1 or 2 months at most. It would be a painful memory of her youth that would be recalled many years later. The ones who were really hurt and engraved in her heart were her parents who raised her for 17 years. The way you hurt yourself, you could only take revenge on the people who cared about you the most. Chapter 536. Gu Shangyin saw Qing Luo Chen's parents from afar. It was a middle-aged couple who were well-dressed. But at this moment, when they heard the news of their daughter's death, there was only panic and pain left on their faces. The teachers in charge of each class strictly forbade the students from discussing this matter, and the library became a forbidden area. Gu Shangyin wasn't in the mood to watch the fun. After school, she immediately saw Lu Yu, who was waiting not far from the school gate. Lu Yu looked at her with a worried expression. "Are you all right?" Gu Shangyin shook her head. "How could anything happen to me?" Lu Yu relaxed. When he heard that something happened in the third school, that a girl had jumped off the building and that girl was Qing Luo Chen, his first reaction was, "I don't know if Xian was scared." It was a good thing that she seemed to be in a good state. If it was any other girl, they would have been scared. Lu Yu's thoughts moved and his hand grabbed Gu Shangyin's hand faster than he thought. Gu Shangyin was startled and looked at him with a bit of surprise. Lu Yu looked over with a faint smile. "I was very worried about you." Gu Shangyin was stunned by this smile and didn't pull her hand back. Lu Yu felt the soft touch in his hand and saw the red ears of the girl beside him from the corner of his eyes. His mood was unprecedentedly clear. "See you tomorrow." When they arrived, Gu Shangyin said in a small voice with a slightly red face, "Goodbye." Lu Yu let go of her hand. Gu Shangyin jogged up the stairs. Lu Yu looked at her and couldn't help revealing a smile. In the days that followed, there was an unspeakable tacit understanding between the two of them. They would go to school together and would go out to play occasionally during the holidays. They would also leave each other a message when something happened. No one said the words that were hidden in their hearts. Gu Shangyin and Lu Yu maintained this kind of relationship of more than friends, but not yet lovers. However, between the two of them, no matter who it was, they had to admit that there was a feeling that no one else could interfere. When Gu Shangyin entered her second year of university, Huang On Yuan transferred schools. On one hand, it was public opinion. Even though the police had confirmed that Qing Luo Chen's death was a suicide, in everyone's eyes, it was still related to Huang and Yuan. On the other hand, he was going to move. In the past year, Father Huang's business had been having all kinds of problems, and the family's assets were also being depleted. They knew that this was Qing Luo Chen's parents' revenge on their family. Father Huang had thought of resisting and calling the police. However, every time, it would only last for 3 days. What followed was even worse trouble. The Huang family compromised. He couldn't afford to offend them. The entire Hua nation was so big, and there were bound to be places that he couldn't reach. Huang Anyuan came to look for Gu Shengyin. Gu Shengyin had not seen Huang Anyuan for almost a year. She almost didn't recognize the person in front of her. In the past, Huang Anyuan was handsome, confident, young and energetic, with a kind of vigor that only belonged to teenagers. However, the boy standing in front of Gu Shengyin now, he was wearing a half-new jacket, his face was gloomy, his eyes were no longer as spirited as before, and there was even stubble on his chin that hadn't been shaved. He was simply a different person from the past Huang Anyuan. Gu Shengyin couldn't help thinking that if the Qing Luo Chan in the past saw this Huang Anyuan, she probably wouldn't even look at him. Chapter 537. Xian, I'm leaving Lin City. Huang Anyuan looked at the girl in front of him. In fact, the two of them had nothing to do with each other. He didn't know why he had to see her before he left. After seeing her, he realized that the two of them, who used to have a tacit understanding, no longer had anything in common. Okay, Gu Shengyin replied faintly. There was a long period of relative silence. Xian, will we still be in touch in the future? Huang Anyuan suddenly asked. The girl in front of him was one of the most important people in his life for the first 10 years. However, the feelings that he had accumulated for more than 10 years were exhausted in less than a year. Gu Shengyin rejected him without hesitation. It's better not. There's nothing we can say to each other. We can't be lovers, but we can be friends. Gu Shengyin said word by word. Being strangers is the best relationship we can have. Okay. Huang Anyuan smiled bitterly. She couldn't forgive him after all. Then, I wish you happiness in the future, Huang Anyuan said softly. Huang Anyuan said softly. Before he left, he added, when you look for a boyfriend in the future, wipe your eyes. Don't look for someone like me anymore. It's rare that you have self-awareness. Gu Shengyin answered him with silence. This was the last time Gu Shengyin saw Huang Anyuan. She didn't know where he moved to with his family. He and third high school had cut off all contact with the people around him. Even at the class reunion many years later, no one knew where he was. Gu Shengyin turned to leave and met Lu Yu at the corner. Lu Yu didn't say anything. He took Gu Shengyin's backpack with one hand and held her hand with the other hand habitually. Don't you want to ask what we talked about? Gu Shengyin asked deliberately. Lu Yu said faintly, anyway, it's just a few words. I can guess. Oh. Gu Shengyin's interest was piqued. Make a guess. Lu Yu looked at her. If I guess correctly, how are you going to reward me? Gu Shengyin hesitated for a moment. She needed a reward for this? Lu Yu's eyes flashed as he said, how about this, if I guess correctly, you have to agree to a request of mine. How about it? This kind of seemingly simple promise was often a trap. Gu Shengyin looked at him warily. Lu Yu looked at her round eyes and said, don't worry, there won't be any mischief. It will be very easy. You just have to nod and you can do it. Really? Gu Shengyin was suspicious. It's true. Lu Yu nodded solemnly. Well then, you can guess. I don't believe that you can really guess anything. Lu Yu looked at her with a smile and spoke softly. The more she listened, the bigger Gu Shengyin's eyes became. Did you eavesdrop on our conversation? Lu Yu spread his hands innocently. I was standing at the corner the whole time. You know, it's impossible to hear from that distance. Then why did you? Gu Shengyin was curious. Lu Yu smiled but didn't say anything. This is my secret. Silly, Of course it's because I spent a lot of effort to understand you. I even tried to investigate that guy because I was jealous that he occupied the first 15 years of your life. Chapter 538. The second year of high school ended and the third year of high school began. She was very busy every day with all kinds of exams, papers, and homework. The walk home with Lu Yu every day became the most relaxing part of Gu Xingyin's life. The two of them did not hide their behavior and everyone could see the intimacy between the two of them. However, perhaps it was because the two of them were too calm, or perhaps it was because of the warm and enviable atmosphere between the two of them, no one felt that there was anything wrong with the two of them being together. On the 7th and 8th of June, Gu Shengyin walked out of the examination hall and looked up at the dazzling white sunlight. She wiped her sweat and walked out of the school. The first thing she saw was Mr. and Mrs. Chong, who had been waiting for her for a long time. Mrs. Chong handed her daughter the green bean soup she had prepared and said with concern, "You must be tired." She did not mention the exam at all. Gu Shengyin drank the sweet green bean soup and exhaled contentedly. "I'm fine." She meant what she said. After all, she was not as worried and anxious as a real examinee. She was confident about her results this time. But even so, Gu Shengyin still slept at home for 2 days after returning home after the exam. After that, there were all kinds of class gatherings, girlfriends' gatherings, and thanking parties. There were also confessions. Even Gu Shengyin received 2 unsolicited confessions from 2 boys in the same class. These youthful students seemed to want to make up for all the regrets they had in the 3 years of high school in just over 10 days. When everything calmed down, Gu Shengyin then realized that she had not seen Lu Yu for more than 10 days. Mrs. Chong suddenly spoke during dinner one day. "Xian, the college entrance examination is over. When are you going to bring that boy named Lu Yu back for us to meet?" Gu Shengyin looked up at her parents and realized that they had known about her relationship with Lu Yu for a long time. Other than herself and Lu Yu, everyone else thought of them as a couple. Who knew that there had not even been a confession between the two of them? But who made the rule that they had to say those 3 words to be considered a couple? Let's talk about it when the time comes, Gu Shengyin replied vaguely. Looking at her daughter, Nanny Chong felt relieved. At that time, Xian did not allow her to send her to school, but how could she be at ease? She had secretly followed her many times, afraid that something bad would happen to her. Thus, she discovered Lu Yu, the boy that all the mothers in Lin City, including herself, liked very much. She watched as he sent Xian to school. The two of them were very close. Moreover, he was sent from year 1 to year 3. Her children and grandchildren would have their own blessings. Mother Chong had also gotten over it. Lu Yu seemed to be a very good boy, so she didn't have to worry about Xian. Gu Shengyin sent a message to Lu Yu that night. "Are you there? If you're free tomorrow, let's have a meal together." Soon the other side replied, "Okay, time and place." Gu Shengyin thought about it and decided on a place. "Good night." She typed these 2 words. Lu Yu's reply was very prompt, "Good night." Gu Shengyin couldn't help but smile. She switched off her cell phone and fell asleep. Chapter 539. The next day, Gu Shengyin put in a lot of effort to dress up. The place she chose was a small park in Lin City. It was not very big and there were no amusement parks or other entertainment facilities, so there were relatively few people, but the environment was very beautiful. It was a sacred place for couples to date. When she arrived at the meeting place, there were still more than 10 minutes before the appointed time, but Lu Yu was already there waiting. They had not seen each other for more than 10 days, but there was no unfamiliarity between them, nor was there much excitement. Their relationship had always been like this. It was neither hot nor cold, but it flowed steadily. The two walked slowly along the path, occasionally talking about topics that interested each other. When they reached the lakeside, the two of them stopped at the same time. "Which university are you going to apply to?" "Which university are you going to apply to?" the two of them said at the same time. Gu Shengyin couldn't help but chuckle. Lu Yu also curled his lips. Me? My dream has always been to go to Capital University. Gu Shengyin said Chongxian's dream. It was not only Chongxian's dream, but also Chongxian's parents had always hoped for their daughter. Gu Shengyin did not want to let them down. Capital University was one of the best universities in the country, and the admission cutoff was also a high level that ordinary students could not reach. Of course, with Chongxian's grades, there was no problem at all. What about you? Lu Yu smiled softly. He looked at Gu Shengyin and said, I plan to follow in your footsteps. Wherever Xian goes to, I will go to the same university. His words of love were so unexpected. Gu Shengyin was stunned for a moment, and a thin layer of red slowly rose on her face. Lu Yu looked at this rare beauty without blinking. 3 years had passed, and the girl's face and body, who was about to become an adult, had begun to grow. She was like a fully bloomed flower, revealing amazing beauty. The baby fat on her face had disappeared, and her height had grown from 1.6 meters to 1.7 meters. Her eyebrows were delicate, and her skin was like jade. The current Chongxian had already grown into a tall and elegant beauty. She no longer looked like a little girl who hadn't grown up yet. Lu Yu had no doubt that he would face many love rivals in the future. Fortunately, he was 3 years earlier than all of them. He heard her small voice. What if I fail the exam? Lu Yu smiled. Then I'll repeat it with you. Gu Shengyin didn't know whether to laugh or cry when she heard him talking about this kind of thing as if it was child's play. If he really dared to do that, he would probably be beaten to death by his parents who had always been proud of him. Lu Yu suddenly called out to her in a very serious tone, Xian. Gu Shengyin seemed to have guessed something. She raised her head and met Lu Yu's eyes. For the first time in 3 years, Lu Yu unreservedly expressed the feelings in his heart. Lu Yu gazed deeply at her. You once promised me that I can make a request of you, and you can't refuse. Gu Shengyin nodded. Then, Lu Yu's eyes were filled with her. Xian, be my girlfriend. Gu Shengyin fell into the web of love that he had woven with deep affection. Okay. Lu Yu smiled. I'm so happy, Xian. I'll always remember this day. Lu Yu couldn't help but hug her tightly. Gu Shengyin had seen him smile countless times, but this was the first time she saw him smile so happily. Lu Yu looked as if he had the whole world. In Lu Yu's heart, Gu Shengyin was his whole world. Chapter 540. In the end, Gu Shengyin got into Capital University as she wished. Just as he said, Lu Yu applied for the same school as Gu Shengyin. No one was surprised by this result. During the last gathering after graduating from high school, Chongxian's classmates even privately tugged at Gu Shengyin and said, Genius Lu seems like a very good person. Xian, you have to hold on to him well. Gu Shengyin did not know whether to laugh or cry, but she still thanked them for their kindness. A few days before going to university, Gu Shengyin invited Lu Yu over for a meal, which could be considered as a sign of their relationship. Mr. and Mrs. Chong had a good impression of Lu Yu. He was polite, good at his studies, and considerate to Xian. Lu Yu successfully won the hearts of his future father-in-law and mother-in-law. Gu Shengyin also went to the Lu family's house. She knew that Lu Yu's family was very well-to-do. At first, she was a little worried that his parents would not be easy to get along with. Don't worry. They spend most of their time abroad and are very open-minded. When they heard that I have a girlfriend, they were very happy. Lu Yu comforted her. He did not say that they heard that he had a girlfriend and were very curious about the girl who could make their son fall in love. They specially took a plane back to see Gu Shengyin. Lu Yu was afraid that if he said it, this girl would be even more nervous. Just as Lu Yu said, Lu Yu's parents were very friendly to her. Mother Lu even said in front of her son, Xian, our Lu Yu's personality is a little dull, but he has a good character. Don't dislike him. Gu Shengyin could not help but cover her mouth and laugh. Lu Yu looked at his mother helplessly. Is there anyone as capable as you to trick your son? When school started, the two of them set off together. 4 years in university. As soon as they graduated, Gu Shengyin was proposed to by Lu Yu. At their wedding, many former schoolmates from number 3 high school and number 1 high school came. Everyone looked at them with sincere blessings. Although I had expected this, I didn't think that the two of you would actually reach this stage, Zhang Yun said. There were countless couples in high school, but those who were able to walk down the aisle together and spend the rest of their lives together were less than 1 in 1,000. Lu Yu drank the wine in his cup in one gulp and said with a smile, "Then you can continue to watch. Watch the two of us walk through this life in love and happiness." "I do." When Gu Shengyin said this, all the guests applauded. Lu Yu and Gu Shengyin looked at the people below the stage. These people would be the witnesses to their happiness in the future. No one noticed that in a certain corner, there was a man in black casual clothes. He stared at the newlyweds on the stage without blinking. They exchanged vows, exchanged rings, and pledged their love for life. Huang Anyuan couldn't describe his feelings at this moment. He hadn't been to this city for many years. It was by chance that he found out about Chong Xian's marriage. At that time, he put aside everything at hand and finally rushed to the scene on the day of the wedding. He didn't know why he had to come and take a look. He didn't have any intention of destroying or being unwilling. He just wanted to take a look. He wanted to see if she was doing well or not, whether she was happy or not. Now, it seemed that she was doing well. The smile on her face couldn't lie. This was good too. The happiness that he couldn't give her would eventually be given by someone else. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.